I wanted to know that he could it's nuts. You see, it's upset that
So, that is, it's order, so. Home, so the organization. Where that happened. It's work. Yeah. Roll it at a time.
Yeah. Right. It's not last meeting.
Jack was the president of Apple. Yeah.
Carol Price still out there. Okay, Carol Jackson, so she's also in some of this, but right. The roll out there?
Yeah.
I'm on, Jerry. Can you hear me?
We can now.
Okay, it was 5 o'clock. Like to call the committee meeting of the Human Affairs and Reconciliation to order. Had a forum, to make sure it's right, and back to the line, and we have 5 items in capital. It's customary that is working on meetings, the whole time, centering on the responsibilities of the commission, or desires for a stronger, more united community, the process for everyone, justice for all. Thank you. Jasmine, did anyone sign up for public comment? Are there any individuals here on the meeting who would like to say comment during the public participation period? We have a period 10 minutes until 3. Great, so let's 2 minutes. Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Savannah. I'm here with the Organization for Development in Charleston. I know might not be the face you're used to seeing, and some of you have been in touch with Shane, and I appreciate you working with him and talking with us. So I apologize that the other organizers weren't able to be here, but we've been in contact. We've been to date with each other, but you can continue in communication with him. Also, I apologize if I'm not able to stay to the end of the meeting. I have another commitment after this, but I thought it was important that I showed up and that we were represented. So earlier this month, we heard about the mayor's proclamation acknowledging the month of April as Arab American Heritage Month. So overall, that's a good thing, and we look forward to seeing what the working group established accomplishes. But I did want to reinforce that as an organization, our purpose and our request showing up here week after week is to ask for the city to introduce and pass the ceasefire resolution. So I don't know if it's on the agenda for the next council meeting on Tuesday to be discussed, but I urge you to encourage for it to be brought up. I do have a hard copy, it's in my bag, but I can pass it out for you to review. If you do, most of you probably already received it in your email, if not already, but I just wanted you to review it again and see that it's really not that controversial. On the hard copy that I have, it's listed at 20,000 Palestinians have been killed, and at this point, it's over 35,000. So since we started doing this work, another 15,000 Palestinians have been killed. And I don't have the hard copy every time I print it. So a little bit about me, I've lived in Charleston for a few years, but I was from New York, grew up in New York in the post 9/11 era. And, you know, I know the mayor's office has been reaching out to the mosque, and I'm sure growing up, my mosque would have loved to have the mayor, would love to have, you know, political candidates and police officers and, people from public officials come and visit. And I'm sure they would have, you know, graciously accepted anything like a proclamation. But none of that are things that actually, you know, work toward the agenda of keeping me or my community safe. It never was, and it still doesn't. It fails to, I fail to understand how a verbal commitment to keeping a community safe is going to be, you know, believable in the absence of even acknowledging the death and the torment of people in Gaza and acknowledging the suffering that's going on there. So we're calling for a ceasefire revolution, that's all. We have a lot more work that we're doing. We are working on anti-vaccine campaigns, we're working on so much more, and it's honestly, quite frankly, embarrassing that we're asking for this very little thing week after week at the city council. And I know that. Okay, I know a lot of my, some brothers and sisters haven't been showing up here because they're scared to show up here, and I know that because they've told me that, and I know that because I feel it too when I come here, but in the end, it's not about, I'm not here to talk about the concern for my own safety. It's secondary to the tens of thousands of people that are being killed, murdered in Gaza, and the fact that there's been no statement from the council and the mayor, it's something that I think it's silly. And I want to reiterate that we're here as a part of a global movement advocating for a free Palestine, and we're trying to do our part at the local level. We believe that Palestine will be free, and we believe we're in a moment where the city has the power to say something. And so that's all we're asking for. Otherwise, keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate you having us.
What else?
My name is Matt, I've been here a couple of times, still hoping that we can work. I'm also working with the Free Palestine Charleston organization, and I fully would like to second everything that Savannah said. We want to keep moving in good faith. We want to move in a way that is safe for everyone in the community, but we also desperately need to acknowledge that we are connected immediately to what's going on. Savannah said that it's silly that there hasn't been any mention, but I find it's more disturbing than anything, because this is something where, like, literally checks are being written to the Israeli military and weapons are being shipped, and it's coming from us. I mean, the money that we pay in taxes, the work that we do, some businesses here in South Carolina, some very close to Charleston, and the fact that the leadership has been just staunchly unwilling to vocalize concern about what's going on the world stage, not just because there's unfortunately thousands and thousands of horrible things going on in the world right now, but this is something that we're directly feeding into. And if we don't start at the ground level saying that there's a problem, saying that we defy the choices that are being made by the higher levels of power, then we can't really ever realistically expect the people who are making the decisions on top to take it seriously when we say that we don't support this, that we don't want our work and our lives and our livelihoods to go counter to someone else's health, well-being, and safety. And the fact that this is a particularly egregious action against a very specific racial and ethnic group, I think that's another great reason why this city has a duty to make a statement, or to make very aggressive concerted efforts to move on, adopting a ceasefire resolution and moving forward beyond that to help make the world better and safer for all of the people who are being impacted there. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any minutes like to share through?
Also, excuse me, can I get the full names of the public?
Sure, hi, I'm Kirsten Raby, I've been in Charleston about the same amount of time as Lana. I'm here today just to say, I have a young son, I want to have another child, seeing the devastation and the children, and especially being, killed and hungry and scared, and just, you gotta see that in my son, and it really just hurts me, and I think, as someone who is, representative, by the city council in Charleston, like, it means a lot to me to really make a statement and say that we want to inspire, I can imagine that being controversial at this point, and, I just really support everything that Sophia said, I just want everyone to hear that, and, it would mean a lot to, I think, not only the community, but also the other community here, with seeing all this devastation, seeing our community make a statement would really mean a lot.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to address the commission? Thank you. Want to know for those who might be listening to this meeting online that, the later on our agenda, we have before they address this issue. Well, it's been under discussion since. Now we're going to approval on this for the April 11th meeting. You see them, can you get up around, or there any additions or alterations to the minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second it. The proper second, is there any discussion? No particular questions? For all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? And then the second will be April 11th.
1 second.
I'm sorry, Carol. Go ahead.
Yes, there is one correction to the minutes on the very first sentence under open discussion. The minutes indicated that Commissioner Fry said there was a town council meeting and so on and so on. And actually it was Commissioner Fish. So we need to be careful before we mash up the two and get a fish fry, but it was Commissioner Fish, so we do need to make that correction.
So the motion on the floor is to accept the minutes with necessary corrections as directed. The maker of the motion and second for the motion to accept those, that correction.
Yes.
Okay, and let us go back in when the motion is amended. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Minutes have been adopted. I'm going to forego any comments from myself at this point. Jason, you have any?
Just briefly, wanted to say thanks to Matt and Anna Pearson. I know you guys are meeting and running that absolutely early, but I just want to say thanks for continuing to be here. I had a really good meeting with Shane about 2 weeks ago, and we chatted, and it was nice being able to listen to him and hear some of his side, and some of the points he was making. Some of the things he shared were that folks doubted the purpose of the meeting and encouraged him not to meet with me, which I find crazy. And the reason I say that is we're not having conversations with each other and talking civilly with each other, then a resolution will never happen. And peace anywhere will happen. So my recommendation is let's continue the conversation. Commissioner Albani will be talking a little bit about some of the advances we've made, and I would encourage you all to participate in that work group as that work group goes. I just want to say thank you all.
In a related matter, in the minutes, we passed a resolution at the last meeting, urging the mayor and council to advocate for passage of the hate bill at the state level. Because that again will and I'm not certain that that actually say that it isn't, I think, consistent with the conversation that we've been having in the direction of this commission, will be having the basic questions of, A, protecting human rights. The next item, we've invited the senior planner for the speaker to provide some update on the number of items, including development. It's a quote.
Good evening, Commissioner. Thank you for having me here tonight. I have two presentations, and I know I have about 20 minutes. So I'm going to move through them fairly quickly to allow time for questions. And so that I can cover both projects. I'm here tonight to present updates on both the Peninsula Planning Effort as well as the OEG Heritage Preservation Project, both initiatives of the Planning Department of the City of Charleston. So just a quick recap, it's been a while since I presented updates on this to you all. The Peninsula Plan is a community-driven, city-sponsored master planning effort for the Charleston Peninsula. This is the entire peninsula area going up to our northern city limits, right there where the port access road is. The purpose of this initiative is to create a shared vision for the peninsula that addresses our unique challenges that build from our strengths, and also knitting together all of these various concurrent and recent planning efforts that have taken place. We are working with a team of consultants, AR St. Rose, the Eco Group, which is local, HRA advisors, field engineering, also local, and Circulus, also local. The four focus areas of the planning effort are water first. So how do we move forward with adaptation and mitigation of our flooding challenges, as well as how do we improve our relationship with the waterfront, increase waterfront access from the peninsula. Neighborhood design is looking at how do we experience our neighborhoods, what can we go to, what can we access, what are the public spaces look and feel like. Mobility is how we're getting around safely, enjoyably, not relying on personal vehicles. And finally, economic development, to tie a lot of these topics together. How are we promoting a resilient and equitable economy, and especially one that is promoting and supporting small businesses, minority and women in business in particular. Oh, and one last, something that's important, especially to this commission, is the resilience and equity framework that was articulated in the city of Charleston comprehensive plan, or the Charleston City Plan adopted in 2021. We are applying that framework to this planning effort as well. I'm not going to go into the details of this slide, but just there's a lot of recent planning efforts. There's a lot of concurrent planning efforts. So that's one of the biggest challenges of this effort, is to bring all of these together into one comprehensive plan for the Charleston Peninsula. Where we are in the planning process is we've had 3 major milestone events. We kicked the planning effort off in September, and that was the last time that I spoke with you all, was right before that kickoff. We launched the waterfront specific planning effort in December. And this is going to, the portion of the planning effort is to actually update our comprehensive plan to create a new future land use district that would address the full waterfront properties. In February, our consultant team returned for some sort of validation of major themes. And the next big milestone event that we can expect is going to take place hopefully in August. The dates that were proposed so far, this will be to test some specific recommendations and design concepts for the peninsula. We hope to be finalizing the plan and the comprehensive plan amendments as part of this effort this fall. Ramping up this effort this year. Just quickly, big milestone event, kickoff September. This is over 200 participants that included open houses and stakeholder workshops. The waterfront planning in December included additional open houses. We also did a waterfront tour with key neighborhood leaders and other stakeholders
visiting important sites around the peninsula waterfront. And then most recently in February, we had a public forum presentation style format. For that forum, we did targeted canvassing in underrepresented neighborhoods. And we also did 5 community listening sessions with several neighborhoods that are located primarily in the Upper Peninsula portion, which is a key geographic focus of this planning effort. So if you are wanting, if you were not able to attend that public forum and want to get that experience and learn what the consultants share, they go way more in depth than I'm going to be able to tonight. You can go to the peninsulaplan.org website and download the slides, watch the presentation, and provide additional feedback and comments. Done a lot more than just these milestone events. I'm not going to go through all of these, but a lot of focus groups, additional presentations, so for informal and informal settings, also a lot of pop-ups and tabling around at already community events that are already being held. These are the emerging areas of consensus or non-consensus, or in other words, topics that need more discussion. Just the importance of human scale of the places and the development that's taking place. Prioritizing alternative modes of mobility, understanding that we need to accommodate all ways of getting around, but making sure that it's safe for people who are not in personal vehicles, and that is a key challenge on the peninsula. Looking at higher intensity and density of development in the higher portions of the peninsula along its spine, addressing the widespread loss, the sense of loss of community and connections. Addressing flooding first and understanding its real threat to the community, but also increasing access to water. And something I added recently that's actually come out of some of these listening sessions is when we were looking at promoting housing options and affordability, businesses, economic development, and public spaces, is to keep families in mind. So something that has come through sort of in all discussions is we're losing places for families. So housing that can accommodate families, not just single individuals, businesses that provide services to families, public spaces where youth can access opportunities for recreation. And then areas that need more conversation is how do we address affordability when it's sort of our limited areas where we can increase support density and intensity. We also need more housing in order to increase affordability. So that's an area of conflict and a require more discussion. In terms of flooding, how do we make sure that we're addressing flooding equitably? And how do we address the challenges of the edge of the peninsula and conversations around perimeter protection? And in terms of historic preservation, whose history is being preserved and what stories are we telling? So widening that historical narrative to the downtown peninsula. And getting into the details of what we mean by waterfront and amount of public space that should be along the waterfront. So these are areas of more discussion, and there's plenty more, but those are sort of the key themes coming up. Opportunities for additional engagement right now online include our virtual meeting. This is a little preview of what that looks like. It's interactive, it's a storytelling experience, but it's also a survey. So it will collect responses from those who are participating. So for folks who can't come out to meetings, they can get a similar experience, what it would be like to come to one of our open houses. This is in English and Spanish. And then we are also doing a big push right now for trying to get responses from minority-owned and women-owned businesses across the region. So this is not just Peninsula specific. It will certainly inform Peninsula economic development strategy. But we want to hear from businesses across the region because we understand that a lot of folks can't afford to, or just for other obstacles, cannot do business on the peninsula right now. And so we want to hear from across the region. And again, this is also in English and Spanish. And for additional updates about the Peninsula Plan, and to sign up for updates and to learn more, the website is peninsulaplan.org. You can email us, peninsulaplan@charleston.gov, and then we have the City of Charleston social media accounts where we'll be posting information. Any questions for me about the Peninsula Plan?
Questions on the Peninsula Plan? Commissioner?
Good question, but I would say your job, like. You do a lot of really good work.
Thank you.
I particularly like the, virtual meeting. That's a great concept.
Thank you very much.
Thanks Chloe for that, and just as a former council member, I do have to say, there's a lot of work that goes into these plans, particularly public engagement. A lot of it's behind the scenes, so I want to say thanks for leading that effort, and then as a citizen now, I try to share with folks that, you know, these are the plans that we have for the next, not just this year, the next 10 years, or 15 years, this is the guiding principle, so engagement is important, because when you're talking about hotel development, talking about all the things you complain about as citizens, it starts with these things. So, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you for saying it. Okay. Do we have time?
I have a question. One personal observation, the process that you're using, to engage the public and engage within that, is effective, I think. I recall reading the master plan and the ordinance section talks about community engagement, and the planning department is, I think, demonstrating, how it can be done. And in addition, hoping that the other departments are learning from you, and appreciate the leading by behavior, in terms of moving forward to, I recall seeing, your units, equity plan, developed in 22, and it appears that, as you move forward. How do you, the affordability question and the business equity question, the family question that you're saying is where we need to reach consensus? What are the big questions that remain unanswered? And how do we raise those up in conversation as we move very close to coming to writing this plan?
It's a complicated question. I don't think we have time to fully answer tonight, but I'll say that I think the key, we have limited ground, limited left. Price of land, property that's extremely high. And because of our flooding challenges and just the nature of the landscape of the peninsula, we're left with a few places where we can responsibly grow. And the numbers that we have in terms of the needs for additional housing, the supply and demand equation there, we limit supply of housing. It's going to continue to remain difficult to promote affordable housing, and we cannot subsidize our way out of the affordable crisis. Yeah, we're not even close to having the funding to be able to meet the needs. So we're going to have to take seriously the question of height. I think is going to be a challenge, especially for the upper peninsula. Well, I would say for the upper peninsula, not so much in the southern historic district, but just where can we, what would make us feel comfortable with some additional height? Where would we feel comfortable with some additional height and density? And how can we achieve both of those while still respecting the character and charm of Charleston that so many love and appreciate that good reason here.
So at our last meeting, we reviewed the Hoover project, the first RAD project, the housing, public housing developing in partnership. How does the RAD program in the public housing fit into this dynamic of creating a plan? Is the RAD driving the plan in the area of affordable housing? Or is the overall plan have an effect on the RAD? How effectively impacted?
It's a little bit of both. So we're definitely, considering those locations as places of opportunity.
And however, we don't control the housing authority's timeline, in terms of which properties they redevelop, how they redevelop them. And the funding that they're able to obtain for that redevelopment. However, we do work with them closely. We've had a relationship with housing authority leadership for the planning department, and meeting with them on a regular basis to collaborate with them on the development plans. And so I would say more so that the municipal plan will provide a guiding vision for sort of general development for goals and vision for what redevelopment should look like in different places of the peninsula and what it should accomplish. And we will be, leaning into those recommendations and guiding visions in our conversations and collaboration.
Do online commissioners have any questions for the paying attention to your hands? All right, if not, we're going to second presentation.
Okay. Last row.
Oh, we could take an opportunity to get there. Note that the discussion about affordable housing, that very close to the other operations. That, substantially, and also, work with families. Local and all do this development, so those are definitely your section, conversations that we have, it's important for us to, weigh in, if you will, to pay attention and bring attention to moves. They have like, that's amazing, so still the issue around which you said, so we.
And forgive me, because I'm new to all of these things, so in terms of this plan, what accountability mechanism built in to the plan that holds developers and the city to the principles that are and ideas that are set out in this plan?
So it is not policy in the way that is zoning code, it is. So there's no, there's the teeth are going to be, if we can get more detailed in the plan in terms of making it really actionable and describing specific changes that city needs to make, whether it's to policy, so it will recommend we need to make this change to this policy. It should spell out what changes we need to make as a city or what programs we need to develop, or what actions the city needs to take. The accountability is in elected officials it should be, the plan will be adopted by city council. Ideally, that's the goal. And once adopted by city council, the elected officials and community members can reference that plan as, be guiding what should be implemented, and policy changes, investment should reflect what's recommended in the plan.
Mr. Chair, this is Carol. I'm
Go ahead.
I'm having a hard time hearing all the words, but I think the last sense that I just picked up on was how this would have any real, not teeth, but real momentum or incentive to accomplish by the city. And I guess what I would like to know, we're going on 2 years away from needing to update the 10-year plan. And I would expect from, what I know of the city's planning process and code writing is that if there were anything so divergent that comes through on the peninsula plan that really is not represented or reflective of what was already adopted by the comp plan, then there would be comp plan amendment opportunities. Is that correct, Chloe?
Yes, and we're already planning to amend comprehensive plan to create that new land use district for peninsula waterfront areas. So if there were anything divergent, as you said, we could update it at that time as well. And Carol makes a good point. This plan would be adopted as part of the comprehensive plan ultimately, and that land use document does guide the zoning changes. The peninsula plan will be referenced and used in the current rewrite of the zoning code to guide the changes to the zoning that apply to the peninsula.
So it really is a hierarchy.
Yeah.
I think we can, rely on that. Aspirational, yes, but it's a hierarchy of requirements.
Thank you, Carol.
All right, so the next project that I'm giving updates, happy to give you updates on, is the Villa Beach Heritage Preservation Project. It's a collaborative effort to support documentation, recognition, and preservation of historic Villa Beach African American ancestral communities and their significant historic and cultural sites. This project is made possible by a grant from the National Park Service. It's part of their underrepresented communities grant program. It's also multi-jurisdictional. Our partners include Charleston County, the town of Mount Pleasant, as well as our nonprofit partner, the Preservation Society of Charleston. So we are doing a number of things with this project. We're providing technical assistance and support to a cohort of communities to achieve their goals in historic preservation. As part of that, community identified historic sites and features will be documented. And they will sort of be in charge of what stories are told and how those stories are told. Some may be pursuing formal recognition and protections for these historic places. And as part of a huge part of the facilitating partnerships, network of partnerships to carry this work beyond the grant period. The project leadership team includes myself as the representative from the city of Charleston and the project manager, and we together with Charleston County, Liz Boyle and Kate Miller, the town of Mount Pleasant. We also have an incredible technical assistance team. We've recently partnered with the Riley Center of Livable Communities College of Charleston that houses the graduate assistants with the MPA program. So we have a dedicated graduate assistant, fully dedicated to the project as project coordinator. We also are getting the privilege to work with their assistant director, the MPA program, Martha Robertson, who manages a team of graduate assistants in various capacity building work with multiple different organizations and agencies. Aaron Minigan Mayer with the Preservation Society of Charleston, and Mike Allen, retired National Park Service and the architect of the Villa Beach Cultural Heritage Corridor. We also have a list of active project partners who are making this all possible. And our current cohort includes, our active cohort includes 23 individuals representing 23 different communities and historic places across Charleston County. This is the list of all the communities that are broken up by the projects that they have selected to pursue. And I'll go through a little bit about how we've been working on this for several months, but these were all priorities that were identified by the communities. And so we are arranging technical assistance and support for these goals through various means, either through consultant support or through community partners. So oral history, historic resource research, conducting area character appraisals, historical markers, pursuing National Register nomination, doing cemetery preservation work, and then some other outlier projects. We're doing a historic virtual and walking tour of the East Side, the East Side project, and developing a community plan. So some key milestones of the highlighted ones with the bolder text are all community events or calls. So we've been working on this since July of 2022. Before we applied for the grant, we engaged with potential partners and communities, held 8 informational sessions last year in the summer across Charleston and Berkeley County, engaging over 180 individuals to share about the project and to get feedback about how it should be structured and to best meet the needs of communities. We
the community signed up in October. That's where we confirmed the cohort that we'd be working with. We kicked things off in December. We were originally going an RFP route, and I'm giving you this information of why there's a little bit of a delay here. We were originally going a route of an RFP, but then ended up changing course. So canceled the RFP and are doing, because of our partnership with the Riley Center, we're actually able to provide a lot of the capacity building and partnership, networking support ourselves. And so that is one of the key changes that we made. We held a resource fair for cohort members in April to recap trainings and national register, historical markers, community archiving, various other things. Jerry nodding because he attended. We also had partners there tabling for people to talk directly with and get information about available resources and support that they can access in the community. And we held a series of project planning workshops where they actually developed identify long-term goals and develop action plans for each of the cohort members for what they would like to achieve during the grant period. So we are finalizing scopes of work right now, finalizing partnership agreements, and then preservation activities, community-led, will be kicking off this summer, going for about 15 months. We'll continue during that time to provide additional trainings, bring the cohort together for gatherings, and also working with each cohort member to complete community preservation sustainability. Any questions?
Sure.
Chloe, this is Carol again. Is it too late for other communities to sign up to be part of the cohort? Is that sort of a closed loop at
Yes,
this
the
point?
deadline was October 2nd. Yes, but we are having conversations about what a next round could look like, or an expansion of this project. We've gotten a tremendous amount of positive feedback about and a lot of interest in this, and so there's definitely we're building strong momentum. There would be a lot of interest for this to continue. It would just be a factor of capacity in terms of who would lead it and funding to keep it going.
And just anecdotally or relationship building, do the same representatives from the cohorts come to every meeting, or?
Yes,
I mean, it just,
the 23 individuals that make up the cohort, some of them are operating on their own, some of them are operating on behalf of an organization or the representative of an organization, and some of them are part of a larger community. And so when I say a cohort member, that could be one person or it could be multiple people, but it is the same. I'll go back to this list right here. These are the communities and organizations represented in the cohort.
I mean, I think that in itself, no matter what else happens with this whole effort, just bringing the historic Black communities together under a framework like this is remarkable. So, bravo.
Commissioner, questions before I start? So, what role is the city's history commission playing as far as this?
Right now, I'm pretty much running leading this, and I not have much collaboration or involvement. I'm not very familiar, honestly, or in terms of connection. I don't have much connection.
So, I think there's an opportunity here.
Mhm.
The master plan has a city council's master plan is a very well spelled out description about what could happen or questions that we should ask themselves. And that commission has a charge in that regard. And a partnership as an ongoing entity advising the city, it would seem to me that one of the things that we need to do is urge them to become more involved in this, so it's an ongoing piece. And might be an opportunity perhaps for some of the cohort participants to become a part of the commission, how we think about what that commission does to the extent that the mayor and the administration has asked stuff for an idea.
Right.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Whose time is coming.
Yeah. I love that recommendation.
Since our head of our chair of our subcommittee of history and culture, the other thing being on city administrator, This initiative is funded, Black Hawk Service money. The capacity building and support of that, the municipality that has chosen to participate, Voluntary County, had put in, I would say, in-kind support.
In time, yeah.
In that regard, going forward, it seems to me that there's more resources needed, so part of, is one of the outcomes of this work, kind of a statement of this is how much additional investment that we need, to make this work go forward, and, you know, the city is one source, the county is another source, foundations, developers, and the like in terms of the way in which we have people investing in our community, and making new money going forward, asking them how to invest that seems to me to be an unanswered question.
Yeah.
That's important. So where do we talk? How do we talk about that?
I'm not sure yet. I'll have to get back to you on that.
All right,
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces. I'll say there's a lot of moving pieces right now, and it's definitely top of my mind is what does this look like? What does the future of this project look like? But I think we should be open to number of possibilities, including another entity sort of taking the helm of this.
sure.
I'm not sure that it's sustainable for it to live in the city trying to put it in part.
In fact, I mean, it's a great pilot.
Mhm.
You created, there's a there,
Mhm.
and now for folks to come along to put some support around it, and come support that. Again, in terms of all work, as a commission, it's going to be space that we can get something developed.
I would like comment, because, you know, the purpose is that any is good enough, and you just get your thing down with it. But or, and then it can grow. You can add to it later, if you go off on some of the county things with the city, that get it started, because the hardest step, so good.
Thank you.
One comment, kind of radical idea about park and how we progress as a group, and I agree, Terry, about history commission, but what my question to, I guess, sort of council members in charge of the commission is how often they meet. I sense that the many of these commissions are really not very active. I don't think commission enrollments have been updated in years, if I understand. So what my recommendation is, as we think about park, is maybe we roll a lot of these commissions into, because it seems like we've got a lot of action amongst this group, and we could divide the original, ordinance included history, included history and culture, transportation. I mean, there was a whole host of issues. So instead of having all these separate commissions, maybe the recommendation is no one from the mayor's office, but would be to assemble a lot of these commissions under parks and development, where we can do more or less, not have to have all these people meeting and be control commissions. Just some thoughts.
If there's no other questions, well, thank you very much, for updating us on the work, that you've been doing, and, it's, I think, for those of us who track, the work of the planning department, you guys kind of stay out in the area of community engagement and involvement, okay, and getting the planners who getting things started, getting things started, and it's up for the rest of us to try and continue those. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Even town with managers, I think.
Thank you, Chloe, thank you, Jerry. So managers update, have a couple of things just to bring to your attention. CPD has a new org chart as they did promotions and reassignments that's uploaded in our new drive. They also changed the date of the open house, which is now May 30th. CPD, and I've been having a series of meetings, so I had a brief phone call with Jerome Smalls. Jerome Smalls is the developer of youth outreach. His role is to basically strengthen the community relations with adolescents and make sure they don't fall into the school to prison pipeline. So he has developed a pilot program, which is the Citizen Academy. That is gonna be a 1-week program. It's branching off of Camp Hope, and it's going to target 15 to 18-year-olds. Jerome will also be doing a presentation to our, letting us, so that the commissioners will know more about his role and what he's doing as DPD. If you participated or reviewed the commission, the last community development meeting, you got some discussion about the two community initiatives. She brought a discussion item, which was tenant bill of rights. We know that the city already has something in an ordinance, so she's trying to marry what the city has in ordinance and when basically figure out how we fair guidelines towards evictions, procedures and maintenance responsibility, so that both parties understand where their obligations are. Also, according to the work plan, you see an item on there stating about creating partnerships. So I had a meeting with Dr. Hayes and Krista Green. They both are directors. Dr. Hayes, of course, is the physician under the surgery department with MUSC. Krista is the director of MUSC Turning the Tide. If you aren't aware, Turning the Tide is a hospital-based violent intervention program. 95% of their patients are Black males. And I would upload the progress report in the hard drive. I also have a meeting scheduled with Latasha. Latasha Jenkins is the executive director for the Hope Center. CCSD DPI personnel, Randy Blake, have meetings scheduled with her, as well as Richard Mary from Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce. And last thing, if you haven't already subscribed to the city of Charleston they release a newsletter. That newsletter will be probably by any questions?
Adrian, could you repeat the May 30th open house? What's it an open house for?
Sure, that's for, that's an open house for Charleston Police Department. So it's open to the community where they have food, fellowship, and you get to meet the chief and, his staff will be out there for that.
So it's at headquarters?
Yes.
Thank you.
I was just gonna ask how we could, take a look at the tenant bill of rights. Obviously, it's an incredible issue, in our state and in our community.
So what I'll do is I'll send the draft, I'll upload that as well into Parks,
Thank you.
Yeah, I recommend they should also, take a quick look at the community development committee meeting, where there was discussion, the discussion about council members, kind of put it in context, what they thought was already in place.
yes.
And what worked for them.
Mhm.
So I think that, forward vision, what might be presented.
I just had a quick question, the violence statistics you mentioned from USC, that,
Yes, so MUSC, it's basically a nonprofit inside of MUSC because they're not funded by MUSC. And it's called Turning the Tide. So 95% of their patients with gunshot wounds, because they work in the surgery department and they deal with all trauma patients. But the gunshot wound victims are 95% African American.
Other questions?
That's Miss Hank? Dr. Hank? Is that right?
Actually,
Yeah, thank you.
So, in our last meeting with the lead team, we talked about the status of the stock contract. Do you have an update on that?
I do not.
So commissioners, Logan has signed off on the, contract. It moved over fiscal, and they indicated that the funding source, which was, the federal, COVID money, which was, we anticipated could be used for the contract, fiscal flag that, so, there's not funding available currently for that contract. And So we will, at this point, there is no contract. Other question, the fire department assessment of employee recruitment activity, with an eye toward diversity, was on the city council agenda at the last meeting. It's deferred, and some discussion about some language questions and concerns about language being changed, in order for the contract. Do you have information about that? Can you get us some terms of status on that?
Yeah, I will try and get you information as a current active, getting information on that.
And the other thing is, commissioners, I hope you've had an opportunity to look at the Google Drive, the documents of the Google Drive. And as we continue to add to that, if you have suggestions about how we might organize it, perhaps by category, so it's easier to go things that are related to history and culture, city council activity, what have you. Well, because one big file, it's great information, all right, but you gotta know what you're looking at. It might, if you have some suggestions of that, so that goes along, so you can help organize that, so that, so more useful, more useful. Other than that, let's go to the old business. Let's start with the new business. Work with the first item. Bye.
All right, so we met on April 19th by Zoom, and the commissioners that are on that committee are Adam and Brandon and Jason and me, and Jason wasn't able to be there, but we got input and then updated him afterwards. And so we started with our goals, and I think Adam came up with some pretty good goals, and we sort of added to that as we went. So the stated goal of the meeting and the commission in general was to have, or I guess more currently, was to have creative ways the city can extend care to our Arab/Muslim/Palestinian citizens and play a role in facilitating conversation and collaboration between Semitic citizens in the city. And then also, sorry, my mic is not on, sorry. So our goal was to facilitate discussion and help all citizens, and especially right now our Palestinian citizens of the city to feel comfortable and safe. And then also to understand how citizens of Charleston are currently impacted by the international conflict. And in general, we want to think about how the city can respond to international incidents in the future and how we should not respond to international incidents. What we decided was that we would try to get a small group of stakeholders together to talk about having an event so that different stakeholders can talk, and then we may have a bigger community meeting. And so we did some brainstorming on who those stakeholders are, and we have reached out to some of them. It sounds like we have Dina Moses, who's going to participate. That's kind of an update since our meeting, who's the Interreligious Council president. Thank you. The titles are always hard for me. And we have an imam that, I don't have that email in front of me that I got today from Adam.
Imam Hamid Washington, I believe.
That's right.
And from the college, Adam El Hassan, the student body president, who's active with Muslim Student Association. Caroline Gill, who's active with Hillel, and Dr. Reshma Khan. All those folks have, I think, agreed to. She's the outreach chair for the Central Moscow Charleston.
Perfect. Thank you for jumping in, and feel free to keep doing so. And so when we didn't really talk about when this meeting might be, the sort of the bigger community meeting or the smaller meeting, because we wanted to get our stakeholders in place, but I think we're probably at that point where we get the leaders together to discuss. But we were kind of hoping that the event might look like this, and this was just our initial brainstorming, that we would have some kind of a round table with, you know, basic refreshments, lasting 90 minutes to 2 hours, and figuring out a way to get different people in the room, just talking to each other, you know, to build some relationships and start the discussion. Because I think if we can focus on our areas of agreement and also help people understand that, you know, we're here to listen. And that I think our community members are also very willing to talk to and listen to each other. So I think that's the immediate goal for this subcommittee, but the bigger sort of longer term goal is to have some guiding principles for this commission and to talk about whether we want to be an official human affairs commission. And then one of the things we were talking about is if there's at some point in the future official complaint process for people in the city who are feeling yes, thank you, that was a perfect word. So who has anything to add? And let me also say, I would love to hear from, you know, maybe not tonight in this meeting, but over time, like the community in terms of who stakeholders are that we may have missed, et cetera.
Go ahead, Brandon, I was comment on that.
I was just gonna add that, some initial conversations were had outside of the working group, Reverend Shoemaker and I met with, Dr. Khan from the mosque. And we heard a lot of what we've been hearing, that there are community members who don't feel safe or heard. And one of the things that Dr. Khan brought up, that always resonates with me is the potential for the city to support some of the things that are working out in the community, between Jewish and Muslim communities, between within each of those communities individually. And I hope that out of this discussion comes a bigger conversation about what the city could, what a relationship between the city and the minority communities within it should look like. What should those communities be able to expect from the city, and city services, and try to establish a standard that will transcend just this administration and kind of move forward, because I think we've just gone through a mayoral transition, and you see a lot of things that were working kind of get forgotten about, and you haven't to relearn some of the same lessons. So it would be good to have some institutional knowledge that kind of carry through.
Thanks, Brandon. I was like to piggyback on was the three folks we have in the community here. There's four, but only these folks there. The three we have, this is an open conversation. I know the rules are that you're not supposed to speak in the beginning, but if you have any names that you'd like to suggest right now, we'd be happy to do that. Or if you think the list is not comprehensive enough, and you all want to be included in some capacity, please let us know. You guys can comment or say, you know, it's not a.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely know if we have any needs, certainly know who the folks on the committee already, and who, you know, and that's an hour demand. But like I said earlier, our work organizationally, you know, this is a good effort, and it's really tangential to what we have for our organization to accomplish. I wonder. Yeah.
If you go to my place, you want to picture. Or. Yeah. Wait. Thank you.
I guess I do kind of wonder when you say that you're wondering what you can do to make the community feel safe. It feels like they're telling you, that what would make them feel safer, if they could have the support to call on a ceasefire. So I guess I am a little confused about what the, resistance to that would be, if it is, you know, the purpose of this whole working group is to help these communities feel safe, and they're telling me what would help. I guess I'm not sure.
I think
Yeah.
so, and I mean this very respectfully, as a former council member who represents 10,000 people, you don't represent the totality of the Harris and city. You represent a very specific, rightfully so, very specific voice. I've spoken to many Arabs locally, and Muslims, Arabs, and they have a slightly different opinion around the practicality of the ceasefire resolution. And actually bend more towards the effort that we're trying to do is really just trying to increase communication and building bridges between these two communities. I've been here since 2001. And I'll share a very quick story with you all about my first interaction with someone that didn't quite understand what I look like. So I came here in April of 2001 for graduate school. Was working in a restaurant. September 11th happened 5-6 months after that. I was working at the Southern Brewery, which is no longer there, on East Bay Street, at the bar. Gentleman comes up to the bar, looks at me, and says, "Man, you look like one of those terrorists." That was the first time being here in the South that I recognized that, yeah, I do look a bit different. My response, which I won't share with you all, was a bit off color. But my point is that I've experienced it. And I've witnessed, seen that in my 20 years here. So yeah, the ceasefire resolution is very important given the current events that we're having. But for me, more importantly, is being able to share with the entirety of the community what the Arab population looks like here. I think that has served a lot of folks that are feeling marginalized. Sure, the ceasefire resolution will certainly symbolically help. I said this at the last meeting. I'm supportive of it. But it has to be an and, it's not a no. It's got to be that and continued conversation. So I'm just answering as a regular citizen.
Carol Fry, I see your hand.
Yes, and I apologize. When Bonnie went through the people that you'd talk with and who might be on the work group, you know, I wasn't familiar with all of the groups that were in there, but I guess my question would be, what are we going to do to make sure that we have a good coverage of the total faith community in the city of Charleston? And you know, as an example, I think there's a pretty big Catholic group of people who live in Charleston, and you know, lots of other denominations. And so my question is, you know, how are we going to make sure that all the faith communities are represented here in terms of this effort? I totally agree with what the working team is working toward, which is sitting down and having a discussion and making sure that everyone feels free to step forward and say what's on their heart, you know, and have each other and have fellow citizens understand them. Again, we all will have different opinions about the specific topic that's in front of the group. But so my major question is, I would just want to make sure that we do the work up front to make sure we have a good coverage of the faith community in the city of Charleston. I realize it's very diverse. You know, we're not called the Holy City for nothing. And so that's the question I have, is how are we going to make sure that we do that?
Carol, I'll take this. One of the stakeholders is the Charleston Interreligious Council. which does represent multiple faith communities and is open to all of the faith communities in the region. And this issue, though, particularly is involving not every faith group. And so I think it's important that for this initial effort, when we're talking about the conflict that's now in Gaza, that we're representing really fully the Palestinian and Muslim and Jewish and Arab communities, because they're the most important stakeholders right now. And also as a member of the non-religious community, I'm always gonna say, when we're talking about kind of faith groups, I always bring it back, you know, you all can call it whatever you want, but I'm gonna call it interbelief, because some of us do not have faith, but we also want to be in the room for this discussion, and we have an important voice to add. And then I also want to say to you all, this is the most important effort right now. We are also thinking about a much bigger, sort of longer term effort. And so it's hard to do two things at once when you're starting, but I just want that to be clear too, that this is not only about this. It might be presumably about, or primarily about that right now, but in general, it's gonna be about something more along the lines of what Carol is saying, which is that it's gonna be about all communities in Charleston that might be marginalized in some way.
I also want to clarify that the names that were listed is not the full breadth of the folks that we want at the table. We listed out something like 10 other people that we're waiting to hear back from. Dr. Khan has committed to going back to the mosque and identifying specifically Palestinian Americans that are active in mosques that like to be part of this effort. And Kirsten, I would like to say that I hope that the infrastructure that's created through this working group would allow for ideas like that, like a ceasefire resolution, to come to fruition with the kind of credibility that comes with voices that we know to be accountable to a large group of people. So, you know, you're talking about the mosque, either one, there are several mosques, but for my organization, Jewish Federation, we're accountable to large groups of people, and if I say something that isn't in line with what they believe, I'm probably gonna lose my job. And so if this is something that is gonna make the majority of this community feel safe, I hope that's an idea that comes up in these discussions.
So what I'm hearing is that, for reading group, is job one, make sure we get the right people at the table. Once the folks come to the table, the idea of a resolution, right? And the wording of the resolution could come. The problem is that the challenge in real time, is that there's really this long, right? The Free Palestine group has been almost close to 5 months now. Raising the issue and wanting to hear that, and the dynamic that's going on is not responsive to that immediate kind of situation. They continue to assess and get where people feeling traumatized and feeling the need to react in media, and it's all kinds of stuff. Okay, and as a consequence, one of the problems with a government entity, all right, even a volunteer entity like ours, we don't have the ability to move quickly and rapidly with resources. But I think that, as you articulated, and as Jason articulated, we're trying to get there as quick as we can, and certainly as we got smarter, as a few more voices, those people who have the votes and the ability to bring forward a resolution to do so, perhaps past the weekend, because we don't have any votes or anything else in this room. So, that's going to be happening for us. I thank the commission for committee for what it's doing. A couple of things are important that they need. Getting this group addressing this addressing the situation of the group is significant. I realize that I think as best I can tell, we put in citizen complaint in the city of Charleston. The only place that you get a pop-up is the police department. Right, so there's only one formal process for a complaint. I think that's another opportunity for us to recommend to the administration that they staff, figure out how to do that. It may be that the process and the proper procedures that the police department could be expanded to I don't know, neighborhood services, you can ask to get a pothole filled. But it's not clear, and you can send a compliment, right? But again, the whole notion of how that works. So one of the things I think would be helpful, Adrian, if you could ask, the clerk's office or whoever in administration to kind of give us a response of what is the process that's in place currently, right, for citizenship. All right, so that working goes, that the committee can have that work to you would assume. That's
Just one more question to the group. If things in Israel and Gaza seem to be moving in the right direction and there is a ceasefire, what's next for the group? You don't have to answer me now. I'm just wondering, you also want to be engaged in this work, or legitimately, like if there's a ceasefire, that just you guys are just like, all right, we're done. I'm just curious.
We have other campaigns we're working on that.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Anything else from that? So the work group, great work. Thank you. Appreciate that. So Bob, you had a report from history.
Two quick updates. One, the Histories Commission, the City History Commission, they meet the first Wednesday of every month. And this last May 1st, they met and approved language for markers for the historic Maryville and prominent residents Marion Green Bar, the Grand Senior who resided there, as well as one for the synagogue at El Kadash that Elohim. So just to make a comment, the History Commission meets regularly unless they don't have something on the agenda. But the chairman just happens to be African American professor of history of the Citadel, and I think they might be very interested in what we talked about earlier, as an aside. On the transportation front, important improvements are in work. Meeting Street Road, which is that extension goes into the neck. There is a public comment period that is now open. This is a very important thoroughfare. It's largely less affluent neighborhoods north of the primary development part of the peninsula. If we're going to have affordable housing, that's kind of a logical area for us to go. From a personal perspective, if you want to go up, there's areas there to go up. There's a lot of, for example, breweries have been in there because there's a lot of industrial restarted. This has been neglected ever since the Navy-based closed. So public comment period is open until noon on May 27th. They're looking for input on basically what's driving us. The state's going to repave the road. So while we're doing this, it's an opportunity, including infrastructure for bicycles, family areas, things of that nature, so that it can be ready for whatever is developed around the road. So it's just an opportunity to be aware of. And so if you have comments or use that area, think about it, because it is the west economic areas of the city right now. Yeah. That's all I have. Thank you.
So in the area of economic empowerment, Al's not here, but he continues to do work in of defining the concept of the business, local minority business district, and where that might land, whether that's inside the, open pier area or elsewhere in the city. On Saturday, I had the opportunity to attend the, Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor Commission, meeting. The commission is a federally recognized entity who covers Florida to North Carolina, along the coast. And at that meeting, they established an economic development committee, and we're going to put out with them. They done some research on Gullah Geechee and African American businesses, their need for capital investment facilities and like, and I think that can be helpful in terms of how to deal with it. And actually could add to research that Chloe proposed to do with minority business. Perhaps they could have the good thing to do to bring that information together and have a conversation, either at this meeting or at a meeting of the Economic Power Committee to kind of solve this. So that's a work in progress. In addition to their criminal justice, we had the recent policy meeting of the CPAC, somebody in the CPAC recently, the chief indicated, Walker indicated that the department will be coming forward with their response to the recommendation of the ERA, and if they someone need to monitor the public safety committee meeting, I think is one scheduled for May 15th. And if it's not the May 15th meeting, the June meeting, we should be monitoring that, because that again will give us some information in terms of I think that covers city other.
I just forgot to mention the website for public comments. It's https innovate.charleston-st.gov/comments select 83 road. So I'm getting probability minutes so people can look at that.
Okay. I guess we roll into the time of open discussion. Commissioners online, any open discussion items or Carol, Tara? Brandon?
Not today. I used my quota last month.
Brandon?
Yeah, and I have to leave shortly. We have a North Charleston City Council meeting going on at 7. Both the North Charleston City Council and Somerville City Council tonight are considering final reading of hate intimidation ordinances, so hopefully they both pass. In addition, the reason why I asked about the comprehensive plan is also attendance with Jeffrey here at the North Charleston Public Police or Public Safety Committee meeting, and I was there for a hate intimidation ordinance, but they were talking about a park that Charleston County was proposing, half of it be rezoned from residential to industrial, so that a boat manufacturer could come in and pay for the cleanup of the other half of the parks. The community can have their park, and it was very clear that the community didn't support this idea. Every single person who showed up to speak, who was a resident of North Charleston, was against the plan, and it was brought up several times that it was against the C-zone plan to take residential zone property and make it industrial again in the south end of North Charleston. So it's important to have those. It's important to have those accountability measures and to hold everyone accountable to the plan. I just want to say one last thing about this, about the resolution. There was a newspaper article, some of you all might see it come out. I was quoted, and I was critical of this group and their resolution. And I wanted to qualify that a little bit because no city council member was quoted in this article. Nobody from the mayor's office was quoted in this article as to why none of them had made a motion to put the ceasefire resolution on the agenda. I don't get to decide whether the city council makes a motion to or put something on the agenda. And all I can do is kind of express my own opinion. And if I had to speculate, I would think that one of the reasons why city council and the mayor's office hasn't advanced this particular resolution is that they're worried that it would offend a segment of the community. And that's something I can speak to. I don't think my community would necessarily be offended by the idea of peace in Israel and Palestine. And I think more and more every day, we all want to see all of this brought to an end, hospitals return home. I would just advise my friends in this group, and I call them my friends because I do communicate with some of them that it's a good starting point for a resolution that would be less offensive to our community, our Jewish community. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this resolution. One of the first paragraphs it calls Israel anti-Semitic, and the next paragraph it implicates Israel and South African apartheid. In the next paragraph, it calls Israel an apartheid state. In the next paragraph, it criticizes President Biden and called Israel a white supremacist, despite the fact that most of their population, including the Jewish population, are people of color. It's very aggressive in its condemnation of Israel as an entire nation. I think we have to recognize that decision makers are people in the government. First of all, people in the government, and second, that there are a lot of people in this community who are Jewish who consider Israel their ancestral homeland and their indigenous homeland. And and there's no mention of Hamas anywhere in this resolution. I'll point out that in October 9th resolution of reference at the beginning of this, that Palestine was condemned, Hamas was condemned for a terrorist attack that had occurred just 2 days before that. And so it wasn't an ongoing conflict at this point. So I think there is a way to call for a ceasefire with a resolution and to spare the loss of a tremendous loss of civilian life without attack or delegitimizing the only Jewish state or offending people in the community. I think there's a way to achieve that. And I would be happy to enter into dialogue if it would make it more palatable to city council or the mayor's office about what a resolution could look like. That would it be as aggressive? But I don't want quotes paper to be interpreted as if I'm the person that's stopping this from happening, or that I'm not open to the very real issues that are and concerns that are happening in Israel and Gaza. It's heartbreaking to see this imagery on television and to feel powerless to do anything about it. I very much relate to that because I don't have one of those red bones to Benjamin Netanyahu. Even if I did, I think we are all seeing in real time that he's not very responsive to the concerns of American citizens, including President Biden. So I look forward to continuing to further dialogue about this, hopefully with y'all. And I think Shane certainly has my contact information, and I don't want those quotes to come off of the doorstep in y'all's face for me. I would like to continue dialogue. Yep.
Appreciate your comments on one of the things that this clearly points to, and we need to look back at our own guidelines when I speak. I'm representing me, unless I'm speaking on a position that the commission is taking. Right, so someone identifies me as the chair, co-chair of the commission, right? The public won't necessarily know that I'm not speaking for the commission, whether it's our responsibility, right? If asked, what is the commission's position, right? feel what she had, unfortunately, now, in this particular situation, we're talking about, bringing together, talking, that is what it is. But that's, I mean, it's the case in point. Good news is we continue to work. We may be in a situation again. Good things for people be coming and asking us about what we think about stuff. And it's important for us to have positions, right? Which gets into my major. But we did talk about the BAR. Where is the second? I'm going back over there. What is the BAR?
It is lost in limbo, so waiting on Councilman Mitchell to add it to the CD committee meetings agenda. I emailed him last week. He had a death in his family, so thanks Jerry for reminding me what I'm gonna ask, so because I'm no longer a council member, so is, this really should be a staff directed navigation, so, Andrew, when you get with general counsel, please ask Gianna, see it down there. We didn't respond back.
So in this regard, again, we're fine between level data. Okay, when we have a discussion about something that we want to have communicated to the mayor, for example, the city council, for example, the notion about an infill. All right, we need to include give the record and the resolution that we're asking Adrian to draft that communication, so she knows that that's what she's supposed to do. Okay, and I'm assuming that she knows, or be in a situation where she's not gonna ask by in a role that's forceful side to do something that we need done. Okay.
I guess the other component, Adrian, is I have seen in my 4 years on council that the chair doesn't always have to approve items. The chair has to be looped in on items. So if Gianna is the staff member, she could recommend the item and let me know, get it on the agenda. So that we're not waiting for council officials to give the yes or no. That happens the way issues are relevant and the council wants to get it on the agenda. Things happen, to your point. Sometimes the rules are just seriously evaporate, but the council is fine, not getting it done.
All right, we're learning the dynamic moving forward. My last comment, we are coming up in June to another anniversary. It will be the second year, second anniversary of our first full meeting as a commission. It also is kind of mid-year, and we've got 2024 plan of action that has some benchmarks in it. I would request that we extend our meeting, our June meeting, maybe by 7 o'clock or a little longer to reflect on where we are on this. Those presentation today, some of our conversation has identified some priorities that are not perfectly might be what we achieve for the next 6 months or so. And we also don't have a good stock support in place. So that may also suggest an adjustment about what this can do. Tom is volunteered to take the lead in going out, talking to block associations. In the presentation, I've been invited by the NAACP to address the next membership meeting on May 23rd, talking about the work part, what our priorities seem to be, and how we to invite to use that as the opportunity to invite them to engage with us in discussion, which is kind of what the one of the action items had. So those are the kind of things I want to chat about a little bit. Might shrink down the work and raise up the human affairs work at another level. Give some priority to the history. Moving around to the history items, you can look also at the take a look at the CDC report. There may be some some items in there, that we think should, at least the administration, the new administration should take a look at. Say, you want to do that, this is no, good idea, this is no, and then tell us whether or not they would like us to work with them. So that's kind of the dynamic I'd like to see at the next meeting. We won't have a traditional meeting, it will be noticed, all right, and it will be agenda for more time for closed session. Okay.
Ironically, on May 23rd, I'm on the agenda for the Westwood Neighborhood Association monthly meeting to tell our story. What we'll do and how.
Okay. Any other items to come before folks with one of the things that we have? Question, how many of you visited in Staten Island? Online, Carol will be visiting in Staten Island yet?
I'm sorry, Jerry, it's hard to hear you. Can you say that again, please?
I'm doing a survey of commissioners who have attended, been at events at the National African American Museum.
Did you understand him, Carol? Really?
No, I did not.
Okay, that's all right. So, one of the things that I would like to see us accomplish is 100% visitation to the museum. As part of experience, and there may be other experiences in the city that other commissions might suggest that we should have. But I appreciate you bringing that to us.
So you're talking about a field trip? Is that what you're saying?
You're not about. It is not a field trip.
Why don't you, can you just write a follow-up question, please, and send it around? I'm really having a hard time hearing
I will
you.
do that. I will do that.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else to come before the body? If not, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Next.